What's up, guys? This is Corey with the Dirt City Gym, and today we are back with another movie review. I actually just got back from watching Spider-Man Homecoming, so I wanted to go over that real quick. So, getting right into it, Spider-Man Homecoming, it's the new third incarnation of Spider-Man in the big movie screen, but this one's a little bit different because this one has actually been pretty much handled by Marvel. This Spider-Man is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is the Spider-Man that we saw in Captain America Civil War, for this a little bit. This is kind of that continuation into that. It's still a Sony movie, but Marvel is really hand-holding it throughout, and you can tell, first and foremost. Kind of get out of the way, this is a good movie. This is a great movie. This is a great Spider-Man movie. Tom Holland, if there's any questions coming after Civil War because of how little screen time he had, Tom Holland is Spider-Man. Like, there is no question. He is the definitive Spider-Man. This is kind of what we wanted, like, the little bit that we saw in Captain America Civil War. If there was questions about, how are they going to do it bigger? Are they going to do it great? What are they going to do? They did it. Like, this is Spider-Man, the definitive Spider-Man, if I had to really say it. I don't have a problem saying that. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with Tobey Maguire, but you never kind of really got that, the high schoolness of Peter Parker. And then even with Andrew Garfield, who I preferred as Spider-Man over the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, you still never really got all of that. This is like the complete package. Like, Tom Holland's like a 20-year-old kid. Like, you can believe it that he's a high schooler. Like, he's 15 the time of the setting of the movie, so it's just, you feel it. Like, all the other actors in the high school and stuff like that, they feel like high school kids. Some of them are probably pretty young, so there's not 30-year-olds trying to moonlight as 15-year-olds in high school. He's a sophomore, so we're really kind of getting that foundation of what's to come of Peter Parker in high school and what he's dealing with and all that. So, moving on to the plot, we are a few months post Captain America Civil War, so we're dealing with Spider-Man dealing with the tarmac fight, of dealing with all the Avengers and everything like that, and him kind of adapting to that and dealing with that. We're still in that early phases of Peter Parker still learning how to be Spider-Man. He's adapting and learning his abilities and things like that. He's growing. I mean, the kid's 15, so he's still in that really weird, awkward phase that everyone's been through, so he's kind of going through that as well, and we can feel that going throughout the movie. So we get their introduction into Toomes, Michael Keaton's Vulture character. Basically, his job at the beginning of the movie, which, to preface, at the beginning of the movie is based 8 years before, so it's immediately following the Avengers, so everything in New York. Toomes is working for, or owns a company that's basically responsible for cleaning everything up, all the disaster from New York and all that, and then coming in, Tony Stark hires a company, Damage Control, which is a comic book reference, by the way, to come in and basically take over that role of cleaning the streets, getting rid of all these alien materials and everything, that which puts Toomes out of a job. And so kind of going on that right there, you're kind of getting that foundation of building that relationship with Toomes. And then we fast forward 8 years later, kind of how that's advanced, how he's dealing with that, and so on and so forth. So anyway, we're dealing with Peter in high school. He's trying to get the affection of Tony. He wants to be an Avenger. He feels like he is an Avenger, and Tony's kind of telling him no, and everything like that. And then we're basically dealing with the groundwork level of Peter Parker, dealing with petty crimes and things like that. At one point, he helps direct a woman how to get somewhere, and she pays him with a churro, which is kind of funny because they pay that off a little bit later. So we're just kind of dealing with that nitty-gritty type of stuff, and then eventually it kind of escalates where Peter gets involved with something he's probably not quite ready to. There's a big bank robbery that goes on, which kind of leads into the Toomes character and things like that, so we kind of go down that route. And all the while, Tony Stark, or Happy Hogan, is kind of pushing Peter away. So Peter's trying to encourage them to let him do more, give him more responsibility. He feels like he's ready, especially after everything from Civil War. And eventually it escalates to the point where he just gets more involved, more into things he's not ready to handle, and the kind of the ramifications of that, which we've seen in the trailer, so it's not necessarily a spoiler. He gets involved in things, he can't handle it, Tony Stark has to bail him out, and Tony Stark takes away the Spider-Man suit. And we're kind of dealing with that. And then it just kind of amplifies up into the climax and everything like that. Going back more relating to the characters, as I said, Tom Holland is great as Peter Parker. He is Peter Parker, and there's so much as the way that Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man, or Tony Stark. Tom Holland is Spider-Man. He just personifies that kid, that personality, like whether he's in the suit or out of the suit. That's kind of the thing that the previous incarnations they could never quite get. I thought Tobey Maguire was decent in both. He never really excelled at either in the suit, out of the suit. I thought Andrew Garfield was really good in the suit. I didn't think he was great necessarily outside of the suit. Maybe Tobey Maguire was probably a little bit better outside of the suit. You kind of got that angst. But then you have Tom Holland. He's both. He knows how to do both, and it's great. Like, he really gets it. He knows what he's doing. Then we got our supporting cast. We've got Ned, which is Peter Parker's best friend. They use him a lot more in the comic relief type of role, and I actually really enjoyed him. I thought he was really funny. He's got his own little moments that is really great. We've got Jon Favreau as Happy Hogan, back in the Marvel Universe. I think the last time we really saw him was that little bit with the Downtown Abbey stuff in Iron Man 3, which is funny. But I'm great. I love having Happy Hogan. He's one of my favorite characters. Jon Favreau, just on screen in general, is always hilarious. I think he does a really good job. He really is that bridge the gap kind of character between the Marvel Universe and then the new Spider-Man universe. Happy is pretty much in this role. He's kind of Spider-Man's handler. Tony Stark is leaving him to be responsible for Peter and kind of handle him and things like that. And then we have Iron Man. So the big questions are, like, how much is Iron Man in the movie? Is this Iron Man's movie? Is this Iron Man featuring Spider-Man, or how it is? But Tony Stark really is not in the movie very much. He's probably more in the movie than Spider-Man was in Civil War, but not really by much. I mean, he's more referenced. He's kind of in the distance. He's not really taking care of things or things like that. There's even a joke that references him not actually being there. So it's pretty good. Moving on, Zendaya. I don't know much about Zendaya. I think she's from Disney. But her character, Michelle, was great. She was in it very little, actually, which was fine. The girl that played Peter's main love interest in the movie was Liz, which she was great too. And it just always that weird distinction of, it's the nerdy kid Peter Parker falling for the really out of his league type of girl, and it would never really make sense or work and everything like that. You always got that with the Mary Jane and Peter in the original Spider-Man trilogy with Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst. But you really can sense that there's a reason why she's interested in Peter. Like, it's not just to make the movie progress. Like, you can actually kind of see why they are attracted to each other and whatnot. Marissa Tomei as Aunt May, hot Aunt May. She's great. She's not in it again very much, but they make the reference to the hot Aunt May jokes, which is pretty great. And then finally, Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton is all Michael Keaton glory here. Like, I know the big criticism with Marvel movies, especially, is in the villains. But Michael Keaton's the Vulture, which they only reference him as the Vulture, I believe, once, which is it's fine. But Michael Keaton's great. He's so, that screen presence, he's intimidating. There's that part where it's in the trailers where he's telling Peter, don't mess with me, I'll kill you and everyone you love. And it's just so, like, you feel it, like that intensity. Michael Keaton really brings it. Like, he's that crazy Michael Keaton, there's that little bit of Beetlejuice in him. You can kind of hear him when he says things sometimes. It kind of takes you back, like, oh, yeah, that's Beetlejuice. There's that intensity, that Batman intensity. There's that Birdman crazy. Like, it's Michael Keaton all of his glory, and he just rocks it. Like, he's a great villain. The fight scenes in particular are really great. They're not, like, kind of ridiculous superhero. I mean, obviously they're mostly CGI computer stuff, but they're super intense. Like, they're really, like, getting at there. Like, there's a lot of, like, claustrophobicness. That's not really a word, but that sense of claustrophobia in the fight scenes and things like that. They're really, like, nitty gritty. Like, you can tell Keaton is going for the kill. Like, he does not care, which is great. So all in all, it's a great movie. There's a scene near the end of the movie. I say near the end. It's kind of the third act of the film where it's the kind of the plot twist, I suppose. Everyone in my screening, there's that audible gasp, like the whenever it happened. It was great. Like, you were really so into the world, so into these characters and everything. And when they dropped it, it was like it caught everybody off guard. First and foremost, the movie is just fun. Like, It's not like, I always felt like Amazing Spider-Man was kind of depressing. Tobey Maguire Spider-Man had that fun. This one like turns it up to a whole nother level. It's not an origin story whatsoever. It's just a fun movie. It's just good. It's a Marvel movie for sure. Like the humor hits. It's great. There are some that don't quite hit as much, but whenever it does, it's clicking. It's going. Tom Holland's eating the screen. But all in all, it's a great movie. I would totally recommend this movie. If I had to get it on a scale of 1 to 10, like a 9.5, like it's so good. Like I definitely would be one I want to see again. I can't wait to see Tom Holland again as Spider-Man in whatever he does in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I don't care. I want to see more Spider-Man. But anyway, guys, that is it. Let me know what y'all think down below about Spider-Man. Are y'all excited to see it? Have you seen it? What did you think of Spider-Man? Try to keep the spoilers to a minimum in the comments. If you do leave the comments, I'll get into a spoiler, more heavy video a little bit later. But anyway, guys, that is it, and we will see y'all next